Welcome to week 9. This week we're going to be exploring filters, and we're going to be doing that through a piece of abstract art. Now, abstract art tends to make students uncomfortable, but that's mostly because they haven't done it before and they're not sure what they're going to be graded on. So heads up, I'm going to be grading to make sure that it's the correct size, the correct resolution, there are areas of visual interest. We'll talk about that. Your colors are under control. We'll talk about that as well. You've clearly used more than one layer. You've clearly used more than one filter, since that's the point of this assignment, exploring filters, filter gallery and the like. You have pulled your areas of interest forward. You can do that through dodging and burning. I'm going to walk through a bunch of useful filters throughout this, and at the end we'll have an example of what to turn in. I personally don't think it's a particularly successful example. I'll also be posting some videos that I did. They're about half an hour long of a more successful end result that I did a few semesters ago. And we'll talk about that one. Your areas of disinterest are pushed back, and we'll go through that. You've created some structure, and you've posted in the discussion forums, not on the assignment where you submit it, about your work and essentially just a little bit about the filters that you used and what you thought was successful, what you thought wasn't successful, that sort of thing. Check out the discussions to find out more information on that. Don't put that in on your submission. Do that when over in the assignment discussion. All right, here are some examples of student work from semesters past that I thought was successful. All right, I thought this one worked out. All of the colors were under control. Clearly there was structure being built. We've got these rectangles coming in and out through all of it. I think the whole piece is quite lovely. It has a semblance of balance going through it. This one I also thought was good. I tend not to like central imagery in it, but this is just interesting all the way over. Clearly multiple filters, multiple layers. Good job on that. This one I thought was great. Not only is it abstract art, but I feel as though it looks like planets, which is, there's no reason for that. I just get that feeling, and so did most of the class when they were looking at it as well. This is just kind of nice. All the colors are very pleasant. The warping effects that are occurring are on a blended layer, so that everything that's happening in here didn't affect the underlying structure of these cubes. It's a very successful piece. This is also a successful piece. It's very structured. There's repetition of colors throughout it. You've got circular shapes, angular shapes. So you had repetition of shapes, but there was a variety of them. Like this hexagon, for example, remains an area of interest. You got this one bright dot. This is a very successful example. Keep in mind, you can fill patterns if the patterns are just texture patterns, that is not image patterns. You didn't start with any images when you were doing it. And Photoshop has a handful of that. We'll talk about those in the videos. This one I think worked surprisingly well. It's this splash of black, and this was just a brush that the student had created. But everything else, the colors, you've got these different bands. There's nothing funky happening with any of them. They're clearly purposeful. You've got these straight streaks going through that's adjusting things. You've got this one structured line. I think that one works quite well. This one clearly structured through symmetry, and then the symmetry is broken up a bit with a lens flare. They created a mask to build this frame, and then they applied distortion techniques to the mask using filters. And I think it's a great job. It looks very interesting. It looks like some sort of cosmic encounters type cover of a science fiction magazine or the like. I think it was quite successful. This one is just beautiful to me. All these fibers tying in and out. They have a variety of colors, but the colors are not random in any way. You've got these greens and these blues. You've got these purples coming across on other sides. It's a very, very wonderful image. This one is an example from many semesters ago that I created using the techniques that I'll show you in class. We're going to be covering some liquify in here, and that will be used later in the semester. So even if you don't feel the need for liquify and you skip it for now, come back to it later when I start talking about it. It's definitely worth knowing about. This one I think turned out absolutely beautifully. It almost looks like paint coming in, but that's not really the case. They did do some paint brush strokes and use them as masks to bring things in and out. It almost looks like it's something, but it's abstract, so it's not really. It's just what it is. This one, wonderful, clearly has a style to it, has all the colors carefully selected, all these shapes that were created through marquee tools, had a wonderful effect in the end, created some glow effects. Beautiful job altogether. All right, and we're back at the beginning. So those are some examples of successful abstract art. I highly recommend that you come in here and start Googling away and looking up other abstract art pieces so that you can get an idea of what some abstract art looks like. Some of it's very structured and some of it's not. But keep in mind, again, what I'll be grading on. And one more time. The correct size, correct resolution, you have areas of visual interest, you have colors under control, you've clearly used more than one layer, you've clearly used more than one filter, you have areas of interest pulled forward, you either lighten them on a dark background or darken them on a light background, you add contrast in some way. If everything else is blurry, then the areas of interest are sharp and in focus. If everything else, and that sort of thing. You have areas of disinterest pushed back, so it's kind of the same as other things, they kind of fade away. And you have structure created. Don't forget to post about it. Take some notes as you work. If you found something interesting, just write that down. You don't need more than a couple of sentences, maybe a paragraph. So if you start ending up with like 2 pages of notes, you're done. You got enough. Don't worry about it. Keep going from there. All right. Don't kill yourself taking the notes. Just explore all the filters. I'm going to show you some principles of design. You can choose to follow or not. I'm going to show you a number of filters. I want you to explore filters, though. Go past what I show you. Check out the filter gallery. Check out all these filters. Google things that you're not sure about. Ask me if you're not sure about it. I'll be happy to talk about it. But without further ado, let's go on into Assignment 9, Abstract Filter Art.